Hey friend, welcome back to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a recipe our family loves. It is always a surprise when I make these because I only make them a couple times throughout the year. It's a special treat, and these are cinnamon roll pancakes. They are as delicious as they sound. They are a favorite of my kids, especially. So in today's video, I'm going to be tripling it because I have 8 kids and I might actually have 1 or 2 of these myself. But in the description box down below, I'll have a smaller scale of ingredients for you guys, and you can choose to keep it as is, double it, or triple it. And I'll also put down the serving size of how many this recipe makes. So this is a perfect treat to have on the weekends, and that is why I am getting this video out on a Thursday. So if you guys want to make these for the weekend and surprise your family, you can do so. I hope you guys enjoy them as much as we do if you give them a try. All my ingredients are measured out. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to start with the pancake ingredients first. Once again, I am tripling this. The regular amounts will be down in the description box below. So I have 5 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I have 6 cups of buttermilk, 6 eggs. I have 6 tablespoons of oil, and I have 3 teaspoons of kosher salt, 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 3 tablespoons of baking powder. I just want to say I do not have buttermilk on hand ever. So what I have in here is just 6 tablespoons of vinegar with the 6 cups of milk to make buttermilk. And then I have avocado oil. You can use olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, whatever oil you'd like. And then for the cinnamon swirl portion, we're going to make this on the stovetop, but I have 9 tablespoons of salted butter, 2 cups of brown sugar, 2 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and then 1 cup of heavy cream. And then for a vanilla icing, what I did is you measure your powdered sugar first. So I measured out 2 cups of powdered sugar, and then I sifted it. So sift after you measure. And then to that I added 6 tablespoons of milk. You can use cream, heavy whipping cream, half and half, whatever you have on hand, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract with a little pinch of salt. And that just makes up, it's been sitting here for a little, so I'll have to remix it, but that just makes up a nice thick icing. So the first thing you're going to want to do is turn your stovetop onto medium heat and put your butter in to melt it. Once your butter is melted, you are going to add in your brown sugar as well as your cinnamon. And you are going to want to take a whisk and mix this together until your sugar dissolves into the hot butter. And once it dissolves, I'm going to go ahead and shut the heat, and I am going to slowly add in my heavy cream. And you can see that little fat cap right there. This is the heavy cream that I get from Azure Standard, the Alexander Farms one. So there's always a fat cap in that, but it makes for a really creamy, heavy cream. And then what I'm going to do is just turn it on to medium-high heat, and I am going to mix all that, stirring constantly for about 1 to 2 minutes. All right, it has been about 2 minutes, so I'm going to shut that off. I'm just going to whisk it a little bit more. And then I am going to be setting this aside on the back burner off the heat while we put our pancakes together. Now to get to the pancakes, what we're going to do is we're going to take our baking powder and our salt, and we are going to mix it into our all-purpose flour. Once your dry ingredients are mixed together, you're going to set that off to the side, and we are going to add our buttermilk into a bowl. This is the only mixing bowl I have. It is a 13 quart, so it's a little dramatic, but we're going to add our buttermilk. We're going to add our oil, and we are going to add our vanilla extract. And to that, we are going to be adding our eggs. You are going to want to whisk that together until it's all incorporated. Once you've whisked that all together, you are going to want to add in your flour mix into your bowl. You can do this gradually or all at once. It really does not make a difference. And then next, what you're going to want to do is mix this together and get it incorporated. You are going to have a few small lumps more than likely, and that's totally okay. This is just one of those batters that you do not want to overmix. So once you see that everything's incorporated, even with a few small lumps left behind, that is totally fine. And once your batter is all blended together, we're going to heat up our pan on the stovetop. And while that pan's heating up, what I'm just going to do is pop this. Actually, I usually have a quart. Let me find a quart. I'm going to get our icing ready for when the pancakes are done, so we can go ahead and drizzle this on top. So I'm putting a tip in. You can use a sandwich bag. You don't have to use an icing bag. This is just a Wilton tip number 7. It might be a little bit too wide. I don't know. But I'm going to put it in the quart jar, and this is what I like to do to keep it clean. And then I'm going to get a spatula over here. And yeah, this has been sitting. Let me mix it. If it has been sitting too long, just give it a good mix. And you can add a little bit more milk into it if you want it a little bit more runny, but mine's actually good once I mix it back up. So I'm not going to use the spatula. We'll just use the spoon. And it is a really thick icing. So once again, if you want to thin it out, you're more than welcome to. It's going to melt on the warm pancakes anyway. And yeah, there we go. One thing you definitely want to do is before you even measure out your ingredients, do your cinnamon swirl mix, because that needs to cool off to thicken up. So I actually put mine in a separate dish just to let it cool off a little quicker. And there we go. Our icing is ready to go. And do not mind my cast iron. I do need to re-season this a lot. My girls cook, and not everyone remembers how to properly season a cast iron. So that is going to be coming up here shortly. And I'm just going to swirl that around, get a nice coating on the pan. And then just to show you, this is the cinnamon. My hands are clean, but this is what the cinnamon glaze looks like. It's really gooey when it cools, but mine is still warm. So what I did is put it in the piping bag and just let this sit in the fridge for about 10 minutes, just to thicken up a little bit. I'm now going to put my pan back to medium heat. So what I'm going to do is, this pan is hot enough now. I'm just going to take a ladle. Sorry about that. I had to get my dogs out of the kitchen. I'm just going to take a ladle full here and drop it into the cast iron. And then I'm going to make a little teeny tiny snip, because like I said, this is not all the way cooled and I do not want it pouring out everywhere. So teeny tiny snip in the cinnamon filling bag, and that actually worked perfect. And then what you're going to do is just make a swirl type design. It does not have to be perfect. This one surely is not, because to be honest, I thought it was really just going to spill out everywhere. You're just going to do that. I'm going to put this back in the mason jar. I did spill a little bit there, so that's just going to cook off, but that is what it's going to look like. And these are just absolutely delicious. Like I said, they're a real treat, so I only make them literally a handful of times throughout the year. And I actually just have this propped so nothing can spill out of the top and nothing's oozing out of the bottom. And I just like to let that sit for about 2.5 minutes until the edges puff up. I do have silicone spatulas, but they're really thick, so I usually don't use something like this on the cast iron. But as you can see on the underside, the edges are getting nice and crisp. And I'm going to probably wait another minute to give this a flip. And it has been close enough to about 2.5 minutes, so I'm just going to come up under that, flip it, and look at that beautiful golden color. And I am now going to let this cook on this side probably for an additional minute, minute and a half, and it should be good to go. And that is what it's looking like. Sometimes some of that filling will come out in the pan. You can honestly just turn around and refill it if you'd like. And I actually just filled up just a little bit with that cinnamon filling. You are then, while it's still warm, I'm going to try and do this one-handed, but you are going to take your icing bag and just lightly drizzle on your vanilla icing onto your cinnamon roll pancake. And that is what it's going to look like. I'm going to just cut the edge of this with a fork just to show you what it looks like on the inside. Absolutely delicious. Perfect touch of sweetness. It's actually surprisingly not overly sweet. And I think that's where the simple ingredients that are in the pancake mix, they definitely help with that. Remember, there was only some vanilla extract in the pancake mix. There was no sugar in it. So this is not overly sweet. It is just the right touch of sweetness. This is the perfect combination for a pancake. It is absolutely delicious. And it's light, buttery, absolutely delicious. I'm going to get the rest of these made up for the kids. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And this is a perfect treat to surprise your family for during the weekend. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you have not yet joined this channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and notification bell on your way out so you don't miss the next video. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care and God bless.